Hey guys, how you doing? Oh god. Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3. I've been trying to write the script for this, and I just can't. I can't get it on the page correctly. This game, I love this game, and I hate this game. And I know that sounds strange. I hope it sounds strange. But this game, when I first got it, I started playing on normal. I played for 2 hours. I hated it. I tried to refund it. Steam wouldn't refund it. So I was like, well, let me try again. And so I gave it another try, and I turned the difficulty down all the way to the easiest setting. And then I was able to slog through the combat. And I played the entire game on the easiest setting, all the way through. And it took me about 80 hours, which is pretty good this day and age. Most of these games only last 25, 30 hours.
And I'm sure the Manic will deal with it.
And I have to say, after that, I decided to try a different build for my lead character, and I turned the difficulty up to normal, and I hated it again. I'm not a fan of turn-based combat, and I'm not a fan of parties. I don't like being forced to run 4 characters. That's why some of my favorite RPGs have a single character. Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, Deus Ex, Human Revolution. These are some of my favorite games. I just don't want to manage the other 3 people. You know? I can't be bothered to run them. And in games like Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 4, I stay away from companions as much as possible. I'll team up to get the content done, to get the things unlocked, and then I send them back to town just as quickly as I can. Because I just can't. I hate companions. I don't want to deal with them. I'm sure it has something to do with the way I am in real life. I just want. I don't want to be bothered by other people as much as possible. Just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. And that's how I am in games. And so for me, for this game to be forcing you to play in a 4-person party is very detrimental to my opinion of the game. But I thought, hey, let's deal with the party. Let's deal with the turn-based combat, which as far as I'm concerned, turn-based combat in RPGs is 20 years out of date. We haven't needed to do turn-based combat in RPGs since the gold box era, and that's the 90s. We've learned a lot since then. We know how to build games and design games now where you don't have to have turn-based combat. So for me, these are some major knocks against it, but I thought, let me put up with it because this is supposed to be Game of the Year for last year. People are giving this thing a 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. So I wanted to try it and see for myself. On the easiest difficulty, I can have some fun in here. But when you turn it up to normal, what happens? This game is all about the gimmick. Okay? Nearly every single combat in this game has a gimmick. You need to understand the gimmick prevent them from using the gimmick on you, and you need to utilize the gimmick on them. Every single fight is like that. The other problem is they have gone crazy with the faux diversity. And so there's this one part of the game where it should be a lot of goblins. And there's some goblins, but there aren't as many goblins as you would think. And there's all these other foes mixed in. And every time you get into a fight, some of these other combatants mix things up. And now you have to relearn what the gimmick is for that fight so that you can be successful. And to me, that's not Dungeons and Dragons. This is supposed to be a D&D game. I've played D&D since the mid-70s. I am not the ultimate authority on Dungeons and Dragons, but the way the combat works in this game bears little resemblance to any Dungeons and Dragons that I played for 40 years. I played Redbox, I played Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, I played 3.0 D&D, 3.5 D&D, and 5.0 D&D. And the similarities of Dungeons and Dragons is maybe at the 50% level, because Larian has gone through and they've added in all these status effects. Blinded, scared, frightened, dominated. Now, dominated has been there for a while, but you know, there's frozen and burning and poisoned. Poisoned is both an effect and a damage now. And you have all these ridiculous status effects that can be applied to you and to the bad guys. It just doesn't feel like D&D to me. It feels too much like Divinity Original Sin, which I hate those games. I absolutely hate the Divinity Original Sin games. I don't like them at all. I bought them. I tried to play them. I did not like them at all. I absolutely hated them. So, you know, I'm trying to make sense of my opinion of Baldur's Gate 3, because there are parts of it that are absolutely spectacular. Some of the side quests are really, really good. Sometimes the combat is fun. Sometimes. But for every time the combat is fun, there's a time when the combat is absolutely infuriating, because you don't know what the gimmick is. So you have to suffer through a party wipe to figure out the gimmick, reload the game, and then play that encounter again. And to me, that's a loss. I hate that. In Dungeons and Dragons, if you die, if you're really playing D&D and you die, you crumple up the character sheet and throw it away, and you got to roll up a new character. Okay? So, this game, like I said, I love it and I hate it. But I wanted to put up with it because I'd heard so many good things about. Now, the world building is very well done. It's immersive. I feel like I'm here. I feel like I'm in Baldur's Gate. I feel like I'm playing a great sword-wielding paladin. They've done a pretty good job there, except when it comes to breaking your oath. That to me, that seems really hit and miss as to what will break your oath and what won't break your oath. That's been frustrating, because, I mean, becoming an Oathbreaker, from what I can tell, isn't the end of the Paladin's career, but it changes how they play. This game has an absolute ton of gear, and the problem is most of it isn't D&D-ish. You get in here, you can feign death once per short rest. I mean, restore bardic. So this is only good if you're a bard. I mean, that's a good one. You can't fall prone. But now you get, excuse me. Now you get adrenaline rush when you dash. What? Wrath? What does that even mean? You know, you have to look all this up. You get lightning charges. Why can't this just be +1 to armor class and +1 to saving throws? You know, why do they have to have all these stupid ass effects that you have to go look up and read up and figure out how this synergizes with something else? Figure out, like, You know, so many amulets. Just, it's like, what? Once per long rest when squaring, you know, it's like if then, if then, if then, if then. It's got all these nested if statements on these amulets. I just don't like the itemization in this game at all. I really don't. It's a mess. It's all over the damn place. The story, I'll avoid major spoilers, but the story really isn't that good. You've got a problem, and there's 2 or 3 or 4 people in Act 1 who you heard can help you with your problem. So you go to 2 or 3 or 4 of them, they all tell you they can't fix it. It never gets fixed. And so you go to Act 2, and like, oh, well, you need to get into these towers. How do I do that? Well, it's on the other side of this, you know, this area that's full of all kinds of death and destruction. You work your way over, you get in the tower, you fight the boss. Well, you find the boss. You fight the boss, you beat him. No, he resets. Fight him again, you beat him. No, he resets. Fight him a 3rd time, you beat him. How is this great storytelling? I'm not impressed with the story in this game. It's not that great. There's one good twist in it. It's a good twist, and it's a good reveal. And you get in Act 3. Act 3 is, well, you know, you got this MacGuffin in Act 2. There's 2 more MacGuffins. Go collect them, and then use the 3 MacGuffins to go find the big final boss. Fight, and once again, you fight this boss twice, I think, before you actually beat him. And it's not an interesting fight. It wasn't an interesting level. And God, so often you are so outnumbered. It's so obvious that they want to force you to bring a mage with Fireball. You know, it's like 30. You're fighting 30 opponents at a time, and it's this slog. The companions are good. The voice acting is good. Now some of the companions I just don't like at all. Like the Lae'zel, the Cronari fighter. I can't stand her. You know, she's just a bitch. I don't want anything to do with her. So I leave her in the camp the whole time. You know, I like Astarion. I like Karlach. I like Shadowheart. I do their quests. Their quests are interesting. But this game, it doesn't have a great story. It just doesn't. I think people what this game does have, it has a lot of cinematic flash and panache. It delivers the story very well. But the story it delivers is very simplistic. There's not a lot of character development for the main character. It's just a question of, you know, do you want to embrace the thing that's in you, or do you want to reject it? That's really about it for your character development. Astarion has pretty good development. Karlach is, I don't know that she develops, but her questline is good. Shadowheart definitely has development. That's interesting to see. The game ran great on my rig. I have a Ryzen 7800X 3D and a GeForce 3080, and the game ran. I mean, like, I'm getting 102 frames per second right now, and I'm playing it 1440p. No crashes, no bugs. You know, got to hand it to them for creating a bug-free, crash-free gaming experience. I think the game's pretty. I think it looks nice. I think the armor looks... Oh, the camera. The camera is garbage. Look, you can't zoom out far enough. And if you go into the overhead, look at what happens. It's not zoomed out far enough. It's just... The camera sucks. I hate the camera. So for me, this game is... You know, I've got 80 hours in the first playthrough, and I think I got about another 60 hours on the second playthrough. So in terms of gaming dollar per hour, that's good. That's nothing to scoff at. But I didn't walk away from this game thinking, wow, love this game. You know, top 10, one of the greatest games I ever played. No, I wouldn't put this in the top 10. Maybe top 20, maybe. It's so much of it is just a slog, just trying to get through it, you know. The dialogue's good, and some of the dialogue choices are very impactful. You got to really hand it to them. But I think in some ways they made the game too complicated, because it's so damn complicated. You can't anticipate all the ramifications of saying no to this one particular NPC. You can miss hours and hours of content. You can miss some really good gear simply by talking to the wrong person in the wrong way. In my first playthrough, never found the Githyanki Creche. Didn't know where it was. Didn't understand why I missed it. I had to go look it up online to figure out what in the hell I did wrong. That's really frustrating. You know, I understand they want choices to matter. I get that. But when you deny whole areas to players over maybe one simple choice that they don't realize is affecting it, you know, you've got to tell people, hey, you know, this really counts. You know, this you're not just pissing off somebody on a side quest. You know, you've got to come up with some way to warn people that they're going to miss out on huge areas. And don't tell me that adds to the replayability, because it doesn't. It just doesn't. You know. And if you go and look at so many of the builds. So many of the builds for the higher difficulties are built around darkness and fog and other obscuring spells, and so they cast darkness, they cast fog, and then what do? They take their throw barbarian or their throw fighter or their thrown weapons paladin, and they step out of the fog, they throw a spear, and then dip back into the darkness. That's how they beat the game on the higher difficulties. That is so incredibly lame. Melee is so hamstrung in this game. It's ridiculous. You know, but you'll walk in, I can't tell you how many perfect ambushes you just stumble into. And they've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 archers way up on rafters, way up out of the way, to make it damn near impossible for your melee tunes to get to those archers. And they just pick you apart from range. And that happens over and over and over again. And I'm so sick of it. I'm so done with it. For me, this is a 4 out of 10.
That will make a great headline.
Maybe a 5 out of 10. I don't know. But Game of the Year, my ass. No way this is Game of the Year. No way this is better than Starfield. No way. I've got almost 400 hours in Starfield. There just isn't enough here. Okay, and you know all this crap that Larian put so much into Baldur's Gate 3. It's one of the largest RPGs ever made. Bullshit, pure bullshit. This is not one of the biggest RPGs ever made. It does have a lot of good quality content. I'll give them that. But there's
fascinating.
They have shot themselves in the foot with their complexity. And, you know, I can think of one quest in Act 2 where you're supposed to be curing this plague, this blight or whatever. I completely missed it my first time through, and I would have never found it on my second playthrough if I didn't look it up. That's garbage, because this was a major plot point. This was the whole of Act 2 is working your way through a part of the world that's infected with this plague, this blight, whatever. You can cure it, but it's really difficult to find the quest, to stick with the quest, to not mess the quest up. You have to. There's dialogue checks and all kinds of other ability checks to finally cure the plague. And so you go jump through all these hoops, you do all this stuff, and then you, air quotes, cured the plague, but you don't cure the plague. The plague stays in place while you're in that area in Act 2. When you leave, it's cured. You can't go back because of the way the game does it. Like, at a certain point, you can't return to Act 1. And then at a certain point, you can't return to Act 2. So you've cured the plague in Act 2, but you never actually get to see it. You never get to enjoy the effects of not having to, because you have to carry light sources and stuff to protect yourself from this shadow plague or shadow blight or whatever you want to call it. How is that an impactful choice that changes the world when you don't get to see it? No, this is not top 10 RPG. No way, no way. This game is so flawed. It's out of date. This turn-based party mechanic combat is old-fashioned. It needs to go the way of the dodo. I'm so sick of it, I could vomit. Now, 4 out of 10. You know, I'm gonna get flamed for it too, because all the Baldur's Gate 3 fanboys are gonna come after me. But I don't give a damn. You know, you have to love turn-based party combat, and you have to love a game that, you know, they're like, oh, this game doesn't hold your hand. No. This goes way beyond that. It's not hand holding to tell me where to go in the quest. To really tell me, don't tell me it's over there. That does me no good. You know. No, 4 out of 10. Not even close to Game of the Year last year. Give me a break. This thing is so overrated. I could vomit in my own mouth. I'm outraged. It's not Dungeons and Dragons. Okay? It's this bastardized extreme interpretation of Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, ranged combat is the meta. Melee is GIMP. You know, I mean, you can have one melee paladin in your group, but everybody else has to be ranged. You know, you got to spam darkness, you got to spam fog, you got to carry around explosive barrels with you. I mean, how stupid is that? You know, I want to pull out my sword and I want to beat the crap out of bad guys with it. That's Dungeons and Dragons for me. When I can't do that, when I'm not as effective as some jacktard who's throwing a damn trident, no, I'm not buying it. Sorry. Overrated. This game is overrated, overhyped. You know, it was in development for 7 years. Well, you know what? It needed another year. And whoever was in charge of this needed to have the shit slapped out of them. Yeah, I'm more than a little bitter about this game. I really am. I admit it. But I know, guys, I got really negative on that one. But this game really frustrated the hell out of me because of what I wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons. You know what I mean? And I'm not playing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3. It's got a superficial layer of D&D on it. And then it's Divinity Original Sin 3 or 4 or whatever the next one would have been. You know. Great headline. Yeah, no. Not for me. Might not be for you. It might be for you. You know, maybe you love this stuff. Okay. But I don't. And I'm not going to pretend like I do. I have 140 hours in the game. I've earned my opinion. I've earned my my right to say that no, this is a 4 out of 10 for me. Major letdown. I wish it was better, but you know, stepping up from easy to normal, and just getting constantly knocked down, frightened, whatever. All these bad effects slapped on my entire party. I'm so sick of it. You know, I don't want to have to cast darkness and or fog every single combat encounter so I can win. And I don't want to change from a melee paladin to a thrown barbarian or a throw fighter. It's so stupid. You know, rogues need to be ranged attackers. Bards need to be archers. No. Not gonna do it. I'm gonna go play Dragon Age Veilguard. We'll see how that turns out. But thanks for watching. Sorry I got so negative.
Outraged.
But this game really... I think I got this negative because once I turned the difficulty down
Front page
and
material.
I started to do okay in the combat, I was like, wow, this might be the Dungeons and Dragons game I've been looking for.
Great headline.
And I got through Act 1, got through Act 2, and then it was somewhere in Act 3 I was just like,
Fascinating.
this isn't the world's greatest story. There isn't great character development here. What are these people raving about?
Our readers
You know,
outraged.
it's a very old-fashioned way of doing a CRPG, and I'm tired of it.
Page material.
So, thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, and share. Give me a comment down below. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with me, and I better put on my asbestos underwear. I'm going to get flamed. But I don't care. This is my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.